Today's lesson is called Colmar, France's fairy tale town. Hello, everyone. I am called Jeff.I
am called Roger, and the city that we're talking about is called Colmar, and it is in France. In fact, it's tucked away in northeastern France, and it's an idyllic town. It looks like it comes straight out of a fairy tale. It's got great cuisine, quaint architecture, and some nice canals there with wonderful flowers. It is well worth visiting. We talked about some of the areas of Colmar last time. The Venice area there, the Little Venice area there.And then we also talked about Old Town.
Yes, we did. Old Town is old, and so was Little Venice. Little Venice has some buildings there that date back to the 14th century. Yes, it is a medieval quarter that is a part of Colmar, our fairy tale town. But then we moved on from Little Venice to Old Town, which apparently is filled with architectural treasures, which makes sense. It is old, and I imagine there are some very, very old buildings there that have been well preserved. And then there is some other stuff there that, well, might not be so old, but is still worth your time. And hey, you might even see something reminiscent of Howl's Moving Castle. If you've seen that film, you might be amazed. If not, check it out and then go visit the Old Town part of Colmar. And while you're there in the Old Town, don't miss Les Maisons de Tête. It's only a 17th century building, but it's still worth your time. Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and take a short break. But when we come back, we'll be starting the second part of our article on Colmar, France.
Colmar is not only a feast for the eyes. Thanks to its mix of French and German influences, the town is also a food lover's dream. One of the most famous local specialties is tarte flambée, a French flatbread made from dough that has been rolled out and topped with cheese or crème fraîche, thinly sliced onions, and bacon before being baked, preferably in a wood-fired oven. Beck-off, a casserole comprising potatoes, vegetables, and meat slow-cooked in a white wine sauce, is another must-try dish.
大家好，第一部分我们看到单字 specialty， 这个字是名词，指特产、拿手菜、专长。例如 We ate some delicious local specialties at the night market. 我们在夜市吃了一些美味的地方特产。或是 When a restaurant has a specialty, it's usually a good idea to order it. 当一间餐厅有招牌菜，通常点它就对了。再举一个例子 The musician can play many instruments, but trumpet is his specialty. 那名音乐家可以弹奏许多乐器，但小号才是他的专长。接着我们看到名词 dough， 意思是面团，像是 I shaped the dough into the form of a star before I baked it. 我把面团揉成星星的形状，再拿去烤。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字可以指钱、现款。例如 A youth counselor won't make a lot of dough, but it's a rewarding career. 年轻的顾问赚不多，但它是很有益的职业。再来，我们看到单字 preferably， 这个字是副词，指更好的、可能的话。例如 Andy is looking for a new apartment, preferably one near his university. Andy 正在找新公寓，最好是在他的大学附近。或是 I'd like a seat in the back of the restaurant, preferably by a window. 我喜欢坐在餐厅后方的位置，可能的话坐窗边更好。另外，补充这个字的形容词 preferable, P-R-E-F-E-R-A-B-L-E, preferable, 指更好的、更合适的。举例来说 John thought it would be preferable to make less money in a job he loved than more money in a job he hated. John 觉得做喜爱的工作少赚点钱，比做讨厌的工作多赚点钱好。或是 You can wear what you want to the party, but formal clothing would be preferable. 你可以穿你想穿的衣服去派对，但是正式的服装会比较合适。
Okay, so let's continue talking about Colmar, France, okay? Remember, it's tucked away in the northeast corner of France, getting close to the German border, and there's a little bit of a history lesson there that we need to talk about as we talk about the city of Colmar. But here in the first paragraph it says, Colmar is not only a feast for the eyes. Thanks to its mix of French and German influences, the town is also a food lover's dream. So yeah, it's not only great to look at, but it's also a great place to get a good meal. So yes, first of all, we're describing it as a feast for the eyes. A feast is usually a large meal like you have here in Taiwan on Chinese New Year's Eve. You will have a big feast to welcome in the new year. But in this particular case, it's a feast for your eyes and it's a feast for your tummy as well. And of course, if you're walking around as a tourist, taking pictures and stuff like that, you are going to get hungry. So, of course, we're going to talk about some of the food that you can enjoy there. And remember, this town is located very close to the German border, and it's in the Alsace region of France. And I remember in my high school history class, we talked about the Alsace-Lorraine area of France that was controlled by Germany, but I think it went back to France after World War I, but still some German influence has been left behind. So let's talk about some of the food there. One of the most famous local specialties is tarte flambée. And what's that? Well, it's a French flatbread made from dough that has been rolled out and topped with cheese or crème fraîche, thinly sliced onions, and bacon before being baked, preferably in a wood-fired oven. Oh, that sounds so good. Okay, so it's a local specialty. A specialty, of course, is a food that you can only find in that place. I think fish balls are a local specialty in Danshui. And, of course, lots of different towns in Taiwan have their own local specialties. Well, the local specialty here in Colmar is something called tarte flambée. And again, we've got a description here. It's made from a flatbread, not like birthday cake. It's a bread that's flat like Mexican tortillas or naan bread in India. You get the idea. And of course, in order to make that flatbread, you need to use dough, which is miantuan in Chinese miantuan. And so you've got this dough here, and then you roll it out with a rolling pin or something, or maybe a can of Coke or something, and then it's topped with cheese and some kind of special sauce called crème fraîche. And then you've got some onions that are thinly sliced, and you've got bacon as well. And then it's baked in an oven. If you bake something, you put it in an oven and heat it, and preferably...
But hey, you said an oven. But they're going to want a wood-fired oven here.
Special kind of oven.
Yeah, that's the preference here, okay? You can cook this in any type of oven if you want to, but they prefer to use, okay? If given many different options, they're going to take this one. They're going to want this particular item cooked in a wood-fired oven. By the way, this is starting to sound like pizza to me. You take dough, and you've got cheese, some onions, and bacon. If you add some tomato sauce there, basically you throw that in the oven, you got yourself a pizza, but it's slightly different here. And this is a specialty of this French town called Colmar. So don't call it a pizza. This is a tarte flambée. Anyways, tarte flambée and crème fraîche. Those sound French to me. The next thing we're going to talk about, though, it's going to sound German. Back off.
Back off. Yeah, what's that? Well, it's a casserole comprising potatoes, vegetables, and meat, slow-cooked in a white wine sauce. That is another must-try dish. So, yeah, if you're in Colmar, indeed have the tarte flambée, but also have back off, and that's a casserole, which is something that is slowly baked in an oven, and my mother used to make casseroles all the time. A very famous kind of casserole for average middle-class people in America is Tater Tot Casserole, which is little pieces of potato mixed in with other ingredients and cooked in a ceramic bowl with a glass lid in the oven, and everybody gets a serving, and it's oh so tasty. So here we've got a casserole, and it is made up of, or its ingredients include potatoes, vegetables, and meat. Okay, so to comprise means that it contains these things, and these are the ingredients here, and they are all slow cooked, but you've got to have this white wine sauce, a sauce made with white wine. And again, this is another must-try dish. Remember, if you cook with alcohol, the alcohol will evaporate during the cooking process, so don't worry, you won't get drunk if you eat this.
Yeah, it'll just be delicious. Anyways, folks, when we come back here, we're going to talk some more about food in Colmar. You won't want to miss it, so stay tuned.
Any meal you eat will taste better with a glass of the local wine. The Alsace region is famous for its white wines, and Colmar is one of the biggest stops on the Alsatian wine route. Be prepared to spend a good part of your evening in an intimate local wine bar, slowly sipping a glass of Riesling while enjoying quality conversation with friends.
Okay, let's talk about some local wine. Of course, the French are very proud of their wines. So, of course, you're going to have some wine with your meal. So any meal you eat will taste better with a glass of the local wine. So, of course, there are many different wine-producing regions, not only in France, but in other countries as well, in Italy and Germany, Chile and Australia and South Africa. They all have wine-producing regions, and when you're in those areas, you should try the local wine. So if you're here in Colmar, yeah, check out a glass of the local wine and enjoy it with your meal.
There you go, with your meal, or maybe without your meal. Later on, they're going to be talking about how you can go to a local wine bar and enjoy some fine wine. But if you are going to drink wine, do so responsibly.
Indeed. Wine with your meal, that is a good compliment there. And again, this is an example of Alsatian wine. Yeah, go that route. It's on the Alsatian wine route. A route, of course, is a way you get from one place to another, but I suppose this means that you go from one town to the other and try different wines. It's all similar wine, but they're slightly different depending on the town you're in. And be prepared to spend a good part of your evening in an intimate local wine bar. Intimate means very close and personal, so you might have some very meaningful conversations with your friends, or maybe with some new friends that you met while traveling there. You could also use the word intimate to describe your relationship with somebody. Hey, are you and Jane seeing each other? Yes, we are intimate. We are having a relationship with each other, but in this particular case, it doesn't refer to that so much as it does just the kind of calm and relaxed setting of the place, and it should be friendly, and you can have some nice conversations with people there. And yes, I guess the local wine there is Riesling wine, which is a kind of white wine, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not much of a wine drinker myself, but hey, if I were there, I would certainly try a glass of that kind of wine, along with the back-off casserole. And after seeing the House of the Heads, or Maison de Tête, hey, that would probably be a great way to cap off a wonderful day of touring.
There you go. All right, folks, let's go ahead and wrap up our article. We'll do so right after this.
Colmar is sometimes overlooked by travelers who favor larger, better-known destinations, but this tiny town checks all the boxes. With its character and charm, beautiful scenery, and wine and fine dining, Colmar is a location that will not disappoint.
第三部分我们看到动词 overlook 指忽略、忽视。例如 I overlooked a step in the directions, so I have to start all over again. 我忽略了指示里的一个步骤，所以我必须从头来过。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字还有以下两种用法。第一，指俯瞰、眺望。举例来说 The hiking trail overlooks the canyon. 这条健行步道可以俯瞰这个峡谷。第二，指不计较，宽恕。我们可以说 I will overlook your mistake this once, but no more next time. 我这次就不计较你的错，但下不为例。最后，我们看到单字 disappoint， 这个字是动词，指使失望，使沮丧。像是 I'd hate to disappoint everyone, but I can't go camping this weekend. 我很不想让大家失望，但我这个周末不能去露营。另外，这个字的字尾加上 ed 就成了形容词 disappointed， 指失望的、沮丧的。举例来说 Doris was disappointed that she didn't win the singing contest. Doris 对于没有在歌唱比赛中获胜感到很失望。
Okay, let's talk about the final paragraph here. It says, Colmar is sometimes overlooked by travelers who favor larger, better-known destinations, such as Paris or Berlin or whatever. So, yeah, sometimes people just don't have time to go to these small, out-of-the-way places. So, yes, it's sometimes overlooked. They just don't notice it.
They don't notice it, or they ignore it, maybe by mistake or not on purpose. So they do that unintentionally. They ignore it, but it's because, hey, Paris is Paris. Gosh, of course I'm going to try to go to Paris if I can before I die. So Colmar, for that reason, is sometimes overlooked because travelers want to go to larger, better-known destinations, but this tiny town checks all the boxes. It has everything. It lacks nothing, okay? With its character and charm, beautiful scenery, and wine and fine dining, Colmar is a location that will not disappoint, i.e., it will not let you down. It does check all the boxes. It has everything. It's beautiful. It's the setting of fairy tales. It has fine dining and great wine. Oh my goodness. It is lacking nothing, literally.
Yep, it has all the items on the list, and you can check off each of those items or tick off all of those boxes. It's a location that will not disappoint. You won't be disappointed. It will meet your expectations. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Here comes our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分有介绍白酒炖肉锅这一道料理，它是一道包含马铃薯、蔬菜和肉类用白酒酱慢慢炖而成的砂锅菜。文中是用到动词 comprise 这个字来表达包含、组成或是由什么什么组成的意思。那我们就来学习几种表达组成的方式。第一种呢是用动词 comprise 来表达，那句型有两种，我们可以用整体 comprise部分，或者是整体 be comprised of 部分，或者是如果用部分来当主词的话，那就会是部分加上 comprise 加整体。举例来说 The questionnaire comprises 30 questions， 也可以说 The questionnaire is comprised of 30 questions。 这份问卷是由30个问题组成的。第二个方式我们可以用片语 make up 来表达，那主动的句型是部分 make up 整体，那被动的句型是整体 be made up of 加上部分。举例来说 Numerous islands make up the country， 许多岛屿构成了那个国家。那也可以说 The country is made up of numerous islands， 那个国家是由许多岛屿组成的。第三个用法我们可以用动词 compose 来表达，那同样是分成主动和被动句型。主动用法就是部分 compose 整体，那被动用法是整体 be composed of 加上部分。例如 Experts from different fields compose the team， 来自不同领域的专家组成了这支团队。那我们也可以说 The team is composed of experts from different fields， 这支团队是由来自不同领域的专家组成的。第四个方式我们可以用 consist of 来表达，那特别注意它不能用被动语态表示，那它的用法就是整体 consist of 加上部分。例如 The restaurant staff consists of 15 people. 那间餐厅的工作人员是由15个人组成的。好，再来课文第3部分，他写到说 Colmar 有时候会被喜欢比较大、比较著名的景点的游客所忽略。那文中有用到单字 overlook， 它是用来表达忽视、忽略的意思。那我们来学它的字首字根 over 这个字首呢，就表示过度、超过或者在什么什么的上方。那么在 overlook 这个字当中，它的字首over over 表示在什么上方，那么 look 表示观看，从上方观看是什么意思呢？好，当我们在俯瞰眺望的时候，可能会因为顾着看远方的东西而没有注意到近的东西，于是 overlook 就有这种忽略、忽视的语义。我们顺便补充2个有相同字首的单字哦。第一个是 overwork， 好，它的字首 over 表示超过，那么 work 是工作，合在一起 overwork 就是工作过度、有过劳的那种意思。第2个补充的是 overhead， 好，它的字首 over 表示在上方， head 是头，那合在一起 overhead 就表示头顶上的、上方的。好，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Specialty. Jerome's mom is a skilled cook, and fried chicken is her specialty. Dough. After making the pizza dough, Henry proceeded to chop up the olives. Comprise. The house comprises 3 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, and 2 bathrooms. Route. The group of hikers took the well-traveled route up the mountain to the summit. Intimate. The restaurant is very intimate, so it's a great place to take someone on a date. Overlook. Lucy was overlooked for the promotion even though she has been working hard. Disappoint. Karen was disappointed by her daughter's decision not to apply to the university.
Discussion starter starts now.
It's time now for our discussion starter for today. And the question is, what would you most like to see or do in Colmar, and why?
I would love to visit Maison Pfister. Why? Because I'm a huge Studio Ghibli fan. My daughter and I love watching these movies. We watch them all the time. And apparently, Maison Pfister actually inspired a part of Howl's Moving Castle, or some of the scenery that you can see in that particular movie, so I would love to check that out.
Well, the Old Town, of course, sounds amazing to me because I like old buildings and things like that, so I would, of course, take lots of pictures there, maybe do some sketches, and, of course, I would like to try the local cuisine and find a nice restaurant, and because there are lots of tourists there, I'm sure the staff will be very helpful to help me select an item that I would enjoy.
Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.